Before this video gets started, I just wanted to extend a huge thank you to Bommarito Ford in St. Louis. If you need anything or have any questions about the truck in this video, please contact Steve Nodiff. Information will be in the description. Thanks for watching. Hey everybody, so today I'm in the 2017 Ford Raptor. I'm going to do a quick little review on it, so I'm really excited to do this. Huge thanks to Bommarito Ford for allowing me to do this. There's going to be a lot of reviews coming from them in the future, so I'm really excited. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get going. So starting off, the first thing that I notice is that it's really smooth. The throttle response isn't like tricky at all. The feel is pretty good. It's a really smooth truck overall. You definitely feel the size when you're going, but it's not something that's concerning. And Ford definitely thought about that with the size of the truck, with it being such a wide wheelbase, and the haunches on the truck are so big. It just makes it really wide. But don't have to worry about that. If you have something in front of you you're worried about, there's a camera on the front actually that you can check using this button right here. And then on the side you have blind spot monitoring like most other Ford cars that are coming out today. So that's nice. You also have a 360-degree camera that gives you a 7-foot radius all around the truck whenever you put it in reverse or if you press that camera button like I mentioned. So that's really nice. And you also have just the regular backup camera that has a crazy high resolution. Whenever you turn the wheel, it turns with you. So it shows you the lines where you're aiming the truck at, so that's really helpful when you're parking this big truck. It's really easy. I've driven trucks before, and this is no different than those. I mean, you can definitely tell it's special. It's not your average truck. You can definitely tell when you get in just how nice it is too. Like, this wheel is extremely nice. It feels like a wheel on just any other sports car. It's really thick, almost like a BMW. So that's really nice. It's got this really cool stripe at the top. This is awesome. It matches the stitching and the leather right here on these seats, which is cool. Another thing to note is that this truck does have multiple driving modes. It has 6 different driving modes actually, which you can easily access through the steering wheel. It's got just your standard mode, sport mode, mud, weather, Baja, rock crawl, just a bunch of different really cool modes that you can use. It's just a really easy truck to drive so far from what I can tell. So some of you may know that this is the 2nd generation of the Raptor, and this one does not have the 6.2 liter V8 that was in the outgoing model. However, this one actually is more powerful with its 3.5 liter twin turbo V6. It actually makes approximately 450 horsepower and about 510 pound-feet of torque, which is pretty good. That's actually 39 more horsepower and 76 more torque than the outgoing model. Not only do you get a bump in power, but you also cut down on the weight of the truck, which is really nice. So, how'd they do that? Well, all the newer F-150s have an aluminum construction body, which helps save weight. Along with that, the engine is also made out of an aluminum block. So those two combined shave about roughly 500 pounds off the previous generation truck. However, this is still a very heavy truck at about 5,500 pounds. Really easy to drive, really smooth. One thing that I really like is that it's very quiet. It's really quiet in here, and that's one thing that the Ford engineers focused on, was refining the interior, making it more quiet. Or one thing that a lot of people complain about is that there's fake sound. So basically there's sound pumped into the cabin to make it sound a little bit cooler. But in my opinion, it's not really distracting or anything. It sounds good, I think. Of course, I'd rather have the V8 sound, like a lot of other people. But with the new setup, you do get more power. A lot of people thought that with the twin turbo V6, you'd also get better fuel economy. However, that's not the case. The outgoing model had 12 miles per gallon city and 16 miles per gallon highway. And this model has 15 miles per gallon city and 18 miles per gallon highway. So it's not that much of an improvement whenever you're considering fuel economy. I'd probably myself would go with the last generation if I wanted the sound of the V8. However, this version is miles better on the interior side of the spectrum. So, getting onto the highway right now, and I'm gonna kind of see what it's got in it. Because like I said, it's twin turbo V6, so it's probably pretty powerful. Oh, there's a really cool wastegate sound. So this truck actually has electronic wastegates on it. which is really, really cool sounding. They kind of make a little like blow off noise whenever you let off the throttle. It sounds really good. As far as the engine note, I like it. I think it sounds pretty good for what it is. That being said, I do like the previous generation sound a little bit better, but all things considered, I think they did a great job with this sound. I think what helps with that is that it's a true dual exhaust, all the way from the headers back, and it's kind of tucked under the rear bumper facing backwards, unlike the last generation where it was the dual side exit exhaust out the back. So this is, like I said, a 3.5 liter V6 twin turbo, but unlike the last generation, which was a 6-speed automatic, this is a 10-speed automatic with 3 overdrive gears. So basically, whenever you're driving, you don't even notice it shifting half the time. It's very smooth, but you can change the modes into different, like sport mode, and it'll kind of heighten the throttle response and make the shifts a little more dramatic to add to the experience. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the mode into sport mode, and I'm going to use the paddle downshift. So right now I'm in 10th gear, 9th, 8th, 7th. I didn't even feel it downshifting just then. That was crazy. I love that electronic wastegate sound. Yeah, this thing takes off in pretty much any gear. You have a very commanding view of the road. It's really nice. I come from driving a Mustang, so it's definitely different having such a high up view. It's pretty funny, cars tend to get out of your way when you're in this thing as soon as they can. It has a really great road presence, especially with that same grille that was kind of in the last generation, that it says Ford across the middle, and it has those 3 little amber lights that a lot of people love. I love them as well. It looks really cool and menacing. Whenever you have this truck behind you, you know it's a Raptor, which is still awesome and the same as the last generation. So with the truck, obviously a lot of people are concerned about towing capacity. Depending on which model you get, whether it's the Super Cab or the Super Crew Cab, you have between 6,000 and 8,000 pounds of towing capacity. So when this truck was produced or designed, they didn't forget about the people are going to be towing with this. So you have your tow mode down here on the shifter, you have your trailer brake controls right here. So they definitely thought about all that whenever they were making the truck. They didn't just want something strictly for off-road. They thought about the on-road capabilities and the towing capabilities as well. Moving on from that, the bed is really nice as well. A lot of people kind of, especially Chevy with their commercials, poking fun at the aluminum beds of the new F-150s. This one actually comes with a bed liner in it, which is really, really nice. And along with that, there's an easy open tailgate that kind of like softly opens up. And there's also a little ladder that you can, or a step kind of, that you pull out and you can climb right into the truck, which is really convenient for people that might have a harder time getting in otherwise. These magnesium paddles are huge and they feel really good. One thing I do like whenever I use them is that there is a little indicator that shows you what gear you're in. So this truck right now only has 21 miles on it, so this is pretty new, but it's doing really well, kind of going easy on it. So Ford definitely was smart in making a second generation of this truck. First generation was produced by SVT, which is Ford's special vehicle team, but that ended up being SVT's highest produced car they've ever made. So it was really smart for Ford to bring it back. It's actually under Ford Performance this time, so it's kind of a different area making this truck, I guess you could say. For those of you that don't know, this truck was pretty much designed to be and imitate the looks of a Baja truck. So what does that mean? It means that you can jump this thing off of dunes and it'll be fine, and that's pretty awesome. There's videos out there, people jumping these like Ken Block, and it's really cool. So how do they do that? Well, this truck has crazy suspension components, and of that it includes the Fox racing shocks that are on it. The last generation also had these. However, these on this generation, these shocks are about a ½ inch wider in diameter. So that allows them to cool down a little better and perform a little better. So like I said before, this truck definitely saved some weight over the last generation. That allows it For the Super Cab, which is the shorter version of the Raptor, I'm driving the longer version right now. The shorter version can get up to 60 in about 5.3 seconds, which is very impressive for a truck. That's pretty crazy. One thing that is interesting that I didn't know until recently is that this version only has a top speed of 100 miles per hour. The gauge goes up to 140 miles per hour, but I guess it's limited to 100 miles per hour, which is probably a good idea. This is a pretty big truck and you don't want to be throwing it around at really high speeds. As far as infotainment goes, this truck has Sync 4, which is pretty nice. I prefer the look of the last Sync system a little bit better, but this is still pretty good. Going along with that, it's pretty responsive whenever you touch it. It lags a little bit sometimes, but that's to be expected with these navigation systems, it seems. The screen has a really good resolution on the maps. I like that a lot. And overall, it's just really easy to look at. It's not like harsh on your eyes or anything. It's a really big screen, and all the information you need is right there in front of you. Going along with the infotainment, this truck also offers Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Depending on what kind of phone you have, you just plug it in to an aux cord and it will automatically kind of detect that and pull it up on the screen for you, which is really cool. This truck has a 12-volt outlet and a cigarette lighter right over here. In this little compartment right down here, there's 2 USB ports. So this truck is obviously built for off-road capabilities, but with that you want on-road capabilities as well. In order to achieve both, Ford put these really nice BF Goodrich tires on that they're good for off-road, they're all-terrains. However, they really don't have a lot of whistle or wind noise like you get in maybe like a lifted Jeep Wrangler or something like that, or even the last generation Raptor. These perform really well on the road. So they're 17-inch wheels with 35-inch tall tires on them. So yeah, now that I've been driving it a little longer, it's really easy to like keep in your lane. It's a big truck, don't get me wrong, but it's really easy to drive. It's really smooth. The transmission's pretty smooth. Feels good. The cooled seats feel really good. It's got heated and cooled seats up front, and it's got heated seats in the rear, which is really nice. Another thing that's pretty cool is the sunroof. It's absolutely massive. I only have about half of it open right now, or the shade back about halfway, and it's just gigantic. It's ridiculous. As far as visibility goes, you have huge side mirrors that help a lot, and you also have, like I said, the cameras if you need to see something. The rearview mirror you can see out of really well. Back there you also have a sliding rear window. But yeah, whenever you look in these mirrors, you just see the huge haunches that allow those giant tires and new suspension components to fit really well. So it's pretty cool to look at this truck. It definitely has a big road presence. It's definitely a head turner for sure, and you sit above everything else on the road, except for obviously like semis and other things like that. Another cool feature for those that are into off-roading is on the screen right here you can change to different information settings, and the one I'm on right now, it tells me the pitch and yaw of the truck, so that's pretty cool. It tells me like different angles and everything. It's a lot of that stuff's over my head since I don't really off-road, but for those that do off-road these trucks, they'll really appreciate that. Another nice thing for those that are going to be off-roading or might be putting light bars or something of that nature on is these auxiliary switches up here. There's actually 6 of them, and those are just up there so you can go ahead and connect lights and different things like that. That way you don't have to worry about drilling in somewhere else and making it look kind of messy. This makes it really clean and easy for people that want to do that. As far as the sound system goes, I tested that out a little bit earlier and it was pretty good. I liked it a lot. Really clear sound. It's a Sony sound system. You have some speakers on the side pillars, you have some in the back on the doors, and then you have a larger one right up here, which is really nice. Yeah, this is one of those trucks that it can probably do everything. You can off-road with it, you can tow with it, and you can easily daily it. Like I'm driving this super comfortably right now. Another cool thing that the engineers put into this truck is that in the front grille, it's a new design, but behind it there's actually air dams that at certain speeds they'll close, and it actually reduces the coefficient of drag, which in turn helps increase aerodynamics, and therefore you get better gas mileage from it, which is another appreciated thing. However, like I said, the gas mileage isn't improved that much, but it is an improvement. So in a huge truck like this, getting about 16 to 17 miles per gallon average, that's not too bad. As far as brakes go, there's a little bit of dead travel at the top, but there's never really a feeling like, oh man, I need more brakes. You definitely have plenty of power behind the brakes to stop this big thing, so that's always good. Whenever you have good performance, you also need good brakes. Yeah, these seats are very comfortable though. They have pretty good bolstering that hold you in. I'm a pretty skinny guy, but definitely down here on the legs, there could be a little more, but it's still pretty good considering it's a truck. But yeah, the interior is very nice. I like all the contrast stitching that's orange to match the rest of the interior. I'm assuming you can probably do different colors on that depending on what you want. So these trucks, if you get the Super Cab, which is just like the extended cab, they start out around $49,000, and then once you get to the Super Crew Cab and other things, it starts to jack the price up a little bit. This one has just about every option, and as I'm testing it, it's $70,195. So it's a pretty big penny for a truck, but then again, it is worth it for all that it's capable of. So for the money, I think it's definitely worth it. So we're going around a turn here. We'll see how it does. It actually turned surprisingly flat. There wasn't a lot of body roll there. And there's a little bit. There's of course going to be that with a big lifted truck like this, but it wasn't bad at all. I still love the sound of those electronic wastegates. It sounds so cool whenever you let off. As far as like storage space goes in this truck, there's huge map pockets with some bottle holders, cup holders here, cup holders here. There's a lot of room for everything. Like I said, the bed has a bed liner in it, so you can just throw whatever you need to in there. There's also lights in the bed, which is really nice for at night. And yeah, so overall it's a really capable truck and I like it a lot. I think if I was in the market for a truck, this would definitely be the one I'd be looking at. So with that being said, I really enjoyed reviewing this truck. It was a lot of fun to drive. Tons and tons of just nice new qualities in this newer generation that I think a lot of people will appreciate. Once you get to driving it, you really don't miss the older 6.2 liter V8, and you really don't miss the original 5.4 liter V8 that was in the Raptors when they came out in 2010. So 2017 Raptor, would I recommend it? Definitely. If you have the chance to drive one, I'd say absolutely drive it. It's a ton of fun. So big thanks to Bommarito Ford for letting me do this. That was extremely nice of them, and I can't wait to do more reviews of cars that they have in their inventory. So if you want to check them out, go ahead and check them out. They're off of Highway 270 in St. Louis. So if you need anything Ford related, go ahead and give them a call. I'm pulling into the dealership again right now, and that'll pretty much do it for the video, so I'll see you in the next one.